This isn't the ideal way to do this lesson, but some lessons are just too important to miss. So I will do the best that I can today with this lesson. So our lesson starts with our classroom, and our classroom has a Promethean board up here at front where a lot of the teaching happens, and the teacher can either be at the document camera or at the board with you. And we had a set of learners here at the front of the room, a row of learners right behind them, and even some out here on the side, and our kidney table back here at the back of the room. Seems like a long time ago, but that's how we had our room. We also have our door that goes out to the den over here, and we had these wonderful windows that overlook our playground. So when we're in our classroom and we're paying attention to the learning, we're at our table spots where we can mostly see. So it's set up to where we're doing the learning. We can hear what's going on. We can see the front of the room. We can look up here at the document camera. So if there's a squid dissection going on or a lesson with stories or examples, we can see it. Now, sometimes we would even take these learners that are over here, can't really see, we come down here in front because we want to be able to be a part of that learning and see that. So our lesson today begins when we do something amazing. We create a slide to go out our window. So we, as fourth graders, decided that, going down those stairs is fun, but what would be more fun is if we could make a slide that goes out of our window, and when it was time for recess, we could slide down that slide and go out and play. So we built that slide and we put it on our window so that we could go out to recess. So it would look like this. All right, it's time for recess. You would get up and push in your chair and you come out and whee, and go down to the playground. Doesn't that sound like fun? Okay, so pause the video right here. Think about that. How would that feel? What would you wonder about? Okay, so here we are back at our lessons, and we've got something really great going on up here. Maybe we're dissecting a cow eye, or we're learning about a new lesson in class. But one day, a fifth grader came by and came in from the den and said, "Oh my gosh, I remember this lesson. And Mrs. Herberger, could we borrow your slide?" And we say, of course. So they come back through and they go down, whee, and down the slide. Is that okay? Pause the video. Think about that. How would that make you feel? What would you wonder about? So the fifth graders, of course, they share that awesomeness. There's a slide that goes out the window and it goes out to the playground, and we just kind of snuck through and they said it was okay. So now it's not just one fifth grader, it's like 3 fifth graders, and they come through and they go down our slide and they go out to recess. Is that okay? Pause the video. Think about that. How would you feel about that? What would you wonder about? Now, because those fifth graders are coming through and they're going down the slide, they're coming in the door and they're not making much noise. They're being very respectful and kind, and they're coming through and they're our friends and they come through, but now they say, "Oh my gosh, I remember this lesson." And they come in, and instead of going out to recess, because it's our recess time, they're not in lessons, they choose to spend their recess in our classroom watching the lesson with us. Pause the video. Think about that. How would you feel about that? What would you wonder about? So in past years, my students have said, that's okay. There are some things from third grade I'd like to go back and sit in that lesson again. That would be okay. And they're quiet and that would be okay. So in the years past, they've said, that's fine. So let's take it one step further though, because one day those fifth graders came in and they said, "Oh my gosh, I loved this lesson. This was my favorite lesson. You know what? I'm kind of tired. Why don't you get up and go stand over there and let me sit in your seat?" Well, I want to sit down. And so they move these fourth graders, which, that's a nice guest would get up and a nice host would get up and let their guests sit down. So Big deal, little deal. I don't know. We'll have to talk about that. But then more fifth graders come and they say, oh, but I can't really see. I want up here. You're going to have to go back there. Okay, yeah. Okay, I want to go there. I loved this lesson. And what about those fifth graders? Didn't go to school here last year. I've never seen this lesson. I want to see. And now they're pushing your classmates and you out of your table spot. Pause the video. What do you think about that? How does that make you feel? What do you wonder about? Well, our spot back here is getting pretty full, and these people can't see over the top of these guys' heads. So you know what? We're just going to put you over here in this corner. In fact, you know what? We're just going to put all of you over here in this corner so that we can see and we have places to sit because we love this lesson. What do you think about that? How does that make you feel? Now you can hear the lesson from over there, but you can't really see. We know that the glare and the angle, you can't really see the lesson from there. We've been there before. So pause the video, maybe even find somebody to talk to. What do you think about that? How does that make you feel? What do you wonder? Well, here's what I want you to think about. This is a history lesson. There wasn't a slide, and it wasn't talking about a classroom and desks. But this is what happened to the Native Americans living in this area. So when we talked about Lewis and Clark, and we talked about them coming to explore all the way to the Pacific coast, and we talked about these Native Americans helping them and trading with them, they even lived with them, and it really wasn't a big deal. They were passing through. They were interesting. They had this pale skin. They even had a dark-skinned white man that was really interesting. And it was kind of fun to learn. And just like our fifth graders coming to the back of the classroom, yeah, it wasn't really a big deal. But what about when more came? And they took our chairs and they pushed us to a place that was less than what we were used to, that was less than ideal and didn't provide for our learning needs. How did that make you feel?